I'm Old Sneelock. Welcome to another episode of Old Sneelock's Workshop. When we bought our house, it had 2 bathrooms. Actually a bath and a half. This is the half bath, and it really deserves the moniker. In this small hallway, you can hear by the echo, I have that opening, which is the entrance from the kitchen. This one, which is a bathroom door. That one, which is a door to the basement. This one, which goes into a bedroom. And then that one that goes into another bedroom. Very active spot in the house. So they made a choice. It's a design decision that I can't necessarily agree with, but I can understand. They made this door open in. That means that it doesn't come out and block the hallway. If they hadn't done that, it would have run into the basement door all the time. Design decisions. There's a problem with that though. As I said, this is a half bath. When you open up the door, it just barely clears the toilet and makes it so that you can't be standing in front of the sink unless the door is fully open. Makes it a big area of the room that is not really functional. So, project for today, to change this out. It's no longer going to be a swinging door, it's going to be a sliding door. Now, I originally wanted to put a pocket door in here, which would involve hollowing out this wall and placing the door so that it would actually slide inside this wall. That's a definitely doable solution, and I think it's a way that works well. It would involve removing this wall and putting in half studs so that I had a pocket going down through the middle of them. There was some concern about doing that. So we came up with a compromise. By installing an exterior door rail, the door rail hardware system, this one came from Menards. There's hundreds of them out there. This was made by Forge. Seems to be a fairly good piece of equipment. I've had it opened up and I've been fiddling with the design of the thing, trying to figure out if it was going to work at all before I got started on the project. But this seems to be a functional process. So the concept is, the door sits here. Now it's going to come over about 1.5 inches this side of the door frame and about 1.5 inches this side of the door frame. Now why am I doing that? It would be nice to have this set right inside the pocket and absolutely fit perfectly over the door frame, but optics require that you not be able to see into the bathroom. Nobody wants to be able to see in the bathroom. It's not something we want to share. Having the overlap means that light cannot escape the bathroom in a straight line. Ergo, you can't see in, you can't see out with the door closed. An additional little constraint on the project is I have a register down here that is the cold air return. That cold air return sticks out from the wall about 1 inch. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do about that yet. I think it'll be okay if I put the guide so that it takes the door past that, but it will probably cause it to rub against that register and make a mark on the back of the door, which is unacceptable. I can see about cutting down that register, making it thinner. The depth of the register is not important. As long as I can make it fit in there and perform the function it's designed to do a little thinner, I think I'm going to do that. With the door in place, this track mounts up above the door. Now if you look, this end of the door track is obviously too long. It runs into the door frame. So that's going to require some cutting. There are also holes in the track that are put in there to line up with 16-inch on-center studs. Nobody's house is ever perfect. When things are designed, especially in a little hallway like this one, studs fall where studs fall. I know I have one above the door frame on either side, and there's another one out here about 6-8 inches, and then there's one about here and one in the corner. I really want to have the track land on the studs. The door is going to be not that substantial. It's going to be maybe 20 pounds. The track is designed to handle up to a 150-pound door. But even a light door slamming back and forth puts a tremendous amount of effort on that door rail. It's going to tend to twist it. So I need to have this rail securely mounted. It may require that I put some additional holes in it. It's okay, we have the tools. So now I'm going to go about laying out exactly where those holes are going to be, how long I'm going to cut the rail, and where it's going to end up. Before I do that, I'm going to take down these pictures from the wall, because it's just not safe doing things like this around things that you want to keep. One of the other tasks that needs to be performed in this hallway is installing a light. For just walking through, traveling back and forth, I have sufficient light. You're going to have difficulty seeing some of this stuff. What I'm doing here, I'm making sure that this little standoff has enough room to be posted. Making sure this little standoff has enough room to sit in the back of the track and not run into the door stop, because this has to go into the door frame and support the door. This has to stop the door from over traveling the track and coming off the end, which would be entertaining, but not anything that I want to have in any of my jobs. Now, rather than trying to hold this up in the air, I'm going to use an old plumber's trick and work off the floor. I know that these lines are vertical, so that if I set this on the floor, put it up against the edge of the door, I can mark the length of the track without having to try and hold it up and do the marking and everything all on my own. Now, I'm sure that with a CAD system, I could perform miracles and set this whole thing up with absolute precision and no need for guesswork. But I have found over the years that if I hold the parts up and actually check them in the physical space, I will see things that I will miss with a paper and pencil. One of the things that I noticed immediately upon trying to set the door in place, the door trim, I was concerned that that was going to be a problem. So I went online and looked at some stuff, and I was watching HGTV Fixer Uppers. It's a great show. Chip and Joanne, wonderful people. Don't know them personally, but I like their show. They set up a door with a trim on it, and I realized that the door hangs away from the wall a little bit because it's just the way it's designed. So it clears the trim just fine. When I put this up and I physically held the track in place and put one of the rollers up here, I could see that it's definitely going to clear the door trim without any problem at all, just because there has to be room for all this stuff to be in there. So if I had taken the door trim off, which was an original thought, the original thought was to take the door trim off before I started the job. Glad I checked. If I had taken the door trim off, I would have had an opening. Remember that thing about the light shining through and not being able to see in or out? The door trim makes it work. Without that door trim, I'd have a gap. So it's always good to try things before you cut anything. Much better procedure. Okay. Now I've laid the track on the floor. I know the length of the track needs to be. I can cut the track. Then I can mount the track. I want to mount the track as close to the top of the door as I can get it. The track comes up off the top of the door about 1 11/16. Then I can have a gap underneath the door. When we first put in the new flooring, the door was all the way down to the bottom. It nearly was airtight. You turned on the fan and it's like sucked your ears out. So we're going to leave a gap of about 1 inch or so at the bottom of the door to allow for ventilation for when you turn on that exhaust fan in there. The exhaust fan is the same size that they used in the large bathroom, which is about 6 times bigger than this one, and it'll generate a lot of flow. So having that gap down there at the bottom will mean that you'll be able to open the door with the fan on. Otherwise the suction probably would just jam this up against the door frame and make it so you could not escape with a fan on. That's just supposition on my part. We're never going to find out. Okay, I have the track marked. I'm going to go out into the workshop and the garage, get out the grinder and cut off that bar. At this point, I'm making a decision that is forever and ever the way it is. I can always buy another track, but once I cut this one, putting it back together can be done. Lord knows I welded things back together again and ground them down and made them look almost decent. But who wants to do that? That's why I spent so much time making sure this track was going to be the right length. I apologize for having the tall, narrow video. It was unavoidable. Trying to get anything in focal range in this small hallway here is next to impossible. The rest of the work we're going to do in small sections. So you're going to see the top of the door where I put the railing on. You're going to see the middle of the door where I put the handle on. You're going to see the bottom of the door where I put the guide on. I will try and fit in a complete view of the installed door, but this is the kitchen. That's the refrigerator. That sets the limit where I can set the camera. I could move the refrigerator. I'm not going to. This is the bathroom hallway. It is only about 8 feet long. So I have 8 feet to work with. Can't get back far enough away from the door, which is in the middle of the hallway. Even if I go clear back against the refrigerator, there's no way to do it this landscape way. So bear with me. This is not up to my usual production standards, which are at best minimal.